Hello everyone. I'm delighted to participate in this concert. My name is Samuel Zyman. I am a Mexican composer who has lived in the US for many years, primarily in New York City, although nowadays I'm also spending some time in the city of Nashville. I teach at Juilliard and I teach at Vanderbilt University at the Blair School in Nashville. I'm very happy to have this piece of mine included on this program. The piece is called Suite de la Mancha, which in Spanish means, of course, a suite of a place called La Mancha, and that place is the place where we associate with Miguel de Cervantes, the great Spanish novelist from the 16th, 17th century, whose most famous work is Don Quixote. And that's what Suite de la Mancha is about. It's a piece that commemorates Don Quixote, Cervantes' masterpiece. This is a piece for flute, cello, and piano. And I'm very grateful to the Dolce Suono Ensemble for having included the piece here, Mimi Stillman in particular, our flutist who decided to include this piece on the program. And let me tell you a little bit about the piece. It was written in 2016. And the reason it was written then, or it was commissioned then, by my friend, the Mexican flutist Marisa Canales at Boston University. They commissioned me to write this piece because that was the year when we celebrated the 400th anniversary of Cervantes' death. Yes, he died in 1616. And in fact, the piece was premiered and it was performed in the beautiful city of Guanajuato in Mexico, which is considered the most Cervantine city in Mexico, if you follow what I'm trying to say. Cervantes was Spanish, but it has a very strong presence, obviously, in Mexico and in Guanajuato in particular, because that's a place where they created a festival called the Cervantine Festival, which started out by simply doing some plays of Cervantes's, and that's why it's called the Cervantine Festival. And there's a museum called the Iconographic Museum of Cervantes, and that's the precise place where this piece was played. So this will all put you in a Cervantine state of mind. The piece that I wrote consists of 4 movements. It has 4 movements. Each movement is named after one of the main characters of the novel. The first movement is about Don Quixote himself, the second movement about Sancho Panza, his assistant, as it were. The third movement is about Dulcinea, who was Don Quixote's idealized love. And the last movement is about Don Quixote's horse named Rocinante. At this concert, we're all going to hear only 2 of the movements, Don Quixote and Dulcinea. So very briefly, Don Quixote essentially represents a character who's incredibly optimistic, idealistic and optimistic. He doesn't take no for an answer. He thinks that everything is possible. Everybody knows the story of the windmills. He sees the windmills and he thinks there's something else, and he goes and combats the windmills, not realizing that he stands no chance. He just presses ahead and doesn't understand that there may be some obstacles in life. So you will see in this piece that I use some what I would call Spanish inflections. There's a little bit of a Spanish flavor. Remember, I'm Mexican, not Spanish, but there's a strong Spanish influence in Mexican music, and I wanted to make it sound like an optimistic, idealistic movement with some Spanish flavor. That will be my summary of that. It's an energetic movement, shiny, happy, so to speak. Dulcinea, though, is what I consider an expression of love. It's like a love letter, a musical love letter, because Don Quixote was profoundly in love with Dulcinea. There was only one issue with Dulcinea. She didn't even exist. She was an imaginary love interest, so to speak. For Don Quixote, Dulcinea was the idealized woman, and therefore this is a declaration of love to her. And even then, it's not all perfect and ideal. There's a stormy section in the middle of the movement of Dulcinea as well, as you will hear. But the basic idea of Dulcinea is to try to be as loving and tender and intimate and lyrical as possible. That's what I was looking for in that movement. I hope you enjoyed the piece, and thank you so much again for having me. All the best to all of you. Bye.